From there, we got into some protracted discussions about no matter what the lease rate was, that from our perspective, that there must be some type of a way to keep current with inflation if we were to move forward for any length of time in this extension. And so that was resisted heavily. That they wanted to only enter into a lease agreement and not have any type of an escalator at all. And so, the Comptroller's office basically insisted that we must have an escalator built into this thing, and that it would be tied to the regional CPI. And then we had some serious discussions about looking at the factors that make up the market basket to the regional CPI, and they wanted to extract certain factors that would massage the rate, and we resisted that. We agreed that we would cap the top end at 3%, but that we wanted to establish a floor so that there would never be a point in time where we would not receive some appreciation, whatever the rent would be, that it would go up by some percentage, because as many of you will recall, there have been times where there's been little to no regional economic growth based on a whole lot of factors. And so that's where the 1% comes into play forever forward, that we would always receive at least 1% and cap it at a 3% rate. Now, as you know, the Comptroller's office has expressed concerns in 3 different areas. While we have been a party and been working on this project for the duration practically, I think the message that the Comptroller would like to convey is that, number one, it's what we do, working with operating departments to put together real estate transactions is all part of what the real estate section of the Comptroller's office does. And I think it's important to understand that just because we're working on a project, that doesn't necessarily equate to agreement with all of the concepts of the proposal. We're not settled at all in 3 different areas. The first being because there's been a time frame that has passed since the last appraisal. The last appraisal, which was the lower of the appraisals, was done in March of 2005. Since it's past that 12-month business cycle in which we would have anticipated this agreement, if it was going to coming together, that we felt that it was worth another look to see if there had been a significant change in the appraised value of that parcel, the main 9.2 acre parcel, especially in what it appears to be some real growth in the Central West End area. The second, of course, was throughout this entire process, the folks we've spoken with at BJC have told us that we don't want to do anything for 10 years. More than likely, nothing will happen on the site for 10 years. It would be at least 8 years, but more than likely 10 years. But it has never been, I guess, spelled out what is actually going to be built there at the end of that time frame, whenever they choose to move forward. And we think that that's an answer that needs to be shared with all of us in the community at large. And last but not least, if indeed they do not move forward for 10 years, we are concerned about the replacement of the recreation areas. There's 6 tennis courts, there's 4 handball courts, of course the green space, and also the playground, which is used by children from the Forest Park Southeast neighborhood. And while they've always pledged, and there's been a lot of discussion about what they would be willing to do and where they'd be willing to do it, we felt that it's very important that outside of the the actual business terms of the lease, that what and how the Hudland courts, where they'll be relocated, and spelling out the details of what's to happen, especially if it doesn't happen for 10 years, needed to be part of this business document and this long-term lease ordinance. You know, it's not that we don't trust anybody, but, you know, the details of what the intentions were, we feel could be lost if not committed to being a part of this agreement.